where we talk about a vision for Oceanside, supporting entrepreneurship and local business through development and growth. And I have the delight, I know I say that, but I have the delight to welcome the phenomenal, the incredible, the amazing, the gifted, the talented Lisane Basquiat joining us. And when I went to look up, what am I going to say about Lisane? I went to her Shaping Freedom site because she had several different kinds of sites I could have just choose. I said so many choices, and it said teacher, entrepreneur, and life strategist. I said, okay, well, so I'm going to go with that. So Lisane is a teacher. She's a life strategist. She's an entrepreneur. She's the owner of Hair Hub Carlsbad. She's the founder, director, and CEO of Shaping Freedom. And I just want to say I had to have this phenomenal woman on, as she also has been nominated for a NABO Award, and it was a NABO Award, the Women's Advocate Award section for this. And so, Lisane Basquiat, welcome.
Thank you. My goodness, I'm blown away by that welcome. I feel welcome. Thank you very much.
So, there's so much that you can just start, and it's almost like, well, which part of your life do you want
I know.
But if you could just tell our Facebook Live audience a little bit of what you do, why you do it, and introduce yourself, please.
Well, first of all, thank you, Kelly, so much for inviting me to have this chat with you today. And thank you so much for just including me in this conversation. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm so excited about your decision and this campaign that you have going to run for Oceanside City Council, District 3. It is a phenomenal thing that you're doing. And, I feel the same way about you. I don't even know where to start. So what I do in a nutshell is really help people to improve the relationship that they have with themselves in order to have better results in terms of family legacy and professional endeavors. And I believe that the core of everything that you do and everything that you, and every part of who you are is based in the relationship that you have and nurture and connect with yourself. And so all the things that I'm involved in terms of the things that you just mentioned, Hair Hub Carlsbad is about helping female entrepreneurs to grow and scale their business, and also understanding the very unique nature or the very unique circumstances that female entrepreneurs are in, where we are growing business and scaling and learning and connecting while also having all the other aspects of our lives happen on that periphery. And we don't always have support for that. And so Hair Hub Carlsbad is a place where a female entrepreneur can come and get that support and find that tribe to help her to know that there are people that have her back. Shaping Freedom is a personal growth company that I founded that is more on the personal side of things. And that is, as I mentioned before, a company that's focused on workshops and programs aimed at helping you to improve the relationship that you have with yourself so that you can be a more effective, more powerful, a more congruent parent, entrepreneur, lover, daughter, sister, human being, in our society. And I think that while this weird, I don't know how else to describe this year so far, while this very unique year has thrown a lot of us for a loop, I think that now more than ever is the time to really start to go inward and to figure out, who you are, why you're here, and what it is that you really want to accomplish in this lifetime. And so what I look to do is, my life's work and my life's purpose is to help people to connect inward so that they can be more powerful.
Well, I want to thank you for that. One of the things that happened today, I had a forum, and one of the questions that our moderator, Allison St. John, asked was, they facts and figures. So I feel like I get a little chance to redeem myself here because we only get a minute to answer very complex questions. And as I talk about a vision for Oceanside, uh, they were saying, well, because of COVID-19, we lost this amount of money, and we really got impacted, which is true. We have gotten impacted. But because I am the kind of person that I don't like to complain about it, I like to be about it, I thought this would be a wonderful opportunity to share with the community about really exploring your own talents. What do you do well?
Yeah.
Maybe you could start a business. So that's that part of entrepreneurship, and only having a minute to answer a question like that, because it's really not a popular answer. Because people say, oh, we're going to drive business in from this place, and we're going to do that from that place, and we're going to make sure we support our local business as we should. But it's also could be a really amazing opportunity right now if you have ever wanted to explore the vision of opening your own company because so many businesses are not hiring. So how can we strategize people entering into the business and into the economy by first maybe just exploring, hey, if you ever had that idea, now might be the time. So I listed some of the free resources that are out there. Even the Women's Business Center, which comes to Hera Hub.
That's right.
Resource. So Venus, if you can put both Hera Hub Carlsbad in the comment, as well as the Women's Business Center as options. Hera Hub goes by membership, so it is a paid membership at Hera Hub, but they also utilize and understand that we work in concert with each other. Again, another thing that's unpopular to sort of run on is the idea we're not going to get through this COVID and a lot of the things that have impacted our economy without joining together as community. So if you could maybe share some perspective in what I'm conveying here with that?
Yeah, I think that everything, Kelly, is about perspective. It really is. I as you're talking, I'm going back to the day, and I actually was not in town on March 13th, but I'm going back to the day that we discovered that, and I found out that we were actually going into quarantine. And at the time, I thought this was like a bunch of nonsense, right? I was like, oh man, by Monday, like whatever. Um, you know. But one of the things that we did, Hera Hub, and I want to also, I have to plug, Felina Hansen is a very good friend of mine, and she's also the founder of Hera Hub. And there are Hera Hubs, several of them throughout the country, and there are 3 here in San Diego. So there's the one that I own, which is Hera Hub Carlsbad. There's one in Sereno Valley, and there's one in Mission Valley. And so I'm bringing that up because when this happened, this is a co-working space. And I'm talking here about Hera Hub specifically, not necessarily Shaping Freedom right now. This is a co-working space. So the first thought is like, oh, business shuts down and, we're just going to go sit someplace, and, wait this out. But one of the things that we are acutely committed to is meeting female entrepreneurs where they are. And in that moment where we all collectively, female entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs, of any gender, where we all were, was afraid and uncomfortable and anxious and confused about what was going on. And so what we decided to do was to meet people exactly where they were in that moment. And we took everything online, and we've continued. I mean, I'm not going to say that we haven't struggled a little bit, through the situation, which is understandable, but we did way better than most. And a lot of that has to do with perspective. It's so easy when things are going amok to panic. And one of the things that we did was made a commitment to not running with the panic pack, but to really meet people where they are, take a look at what's really going on versus what our imagination can sometimes, the tizzy that our imaginations can sometimes throw us into. And we decided to think about, what do entrepreneurs need at this time, in this moment, and in this particular chapter and scene in our lives? It's support, it's encouragement, it's community, it's connection. It's someone to understand how terrifying it can be to continue paddling when you don't know what the heck is going on. I mean, a pandemic, we've all heard about them. We've all heard about disaster recovery and all that, but we didn't really, I know I certainly never expected it to really happen. I thought it was one of those kind of things that maybe one day, so I think for entrepreneurs, it is really important to not isolate and to find communities like Harrow Hub Carlsbad or wherever your communities are, to really find a way to stay connected. I think there are more opportunities in this situation than there are not, to be honest with you. I mean, for every time that someone says, well, if the pandemic's going on, I can't start my business. I mean, we are on a platform right now, a video conferencing platform that I would imagine has done incredibly well, throughout this pandemic. There are companies that are thriving throughout the pandemic. So I think that, it's really important for us to free our minds, and that's the shaping freedom part of it, right? To really free our minds and to stay open to possibilities and to stay creative and to connect inward before panicking about what the news channels are saying or what, politics and public health and fear and all these other things and drivers for anxiety and depression and isolation, to really go inward, because that's where the creativity is. That's where the opportunities are. That's where those ideas for what you can do in this situation, that's where those ideas come from.
I really want to thank you for that, because running in this particular campaign and the question that I was so impacted with today with, what are we going to do about the economy? It is a really unsexy kind of answer in politics to say, well, go inside and let's create, let's vision, because doggone it, if there ever has been a time, and the time is always right for a visioning. It's always right to come outside of yourself. And through your experience with people that have come to you, whether it's Shaping Freedom or Harrow Hub, what do you think are some of the top, like that resistance that people say, well, I want to do it, or if I could do it, what are some of the things that have come up, and how do you address those concerns when that happens?
I hear those things all the time. So there's two things I want to say. One is, I think you are a prime example, in this current run that you are in. And I encourage people, if you don't know Kellie Davis, get to know her. Support this lady. She is phenomenal, incredibly creative, incredibly bright, committed, and she does what she says she's going to do. And I think that you're a perfect example of that. So often we're so busy thinking about all the external things, right? Like, what's going on? What are they all saying? The economy. And what you did was you saw that there was a need and you rose to the occasion. You presented yourself to the need that you saw. And that's really what, that's the secret sauce right there. So I hear everything, as, someone who works with entrepreneurs, I'm telling you, if there was ever a group of people, because it's a lot to start a business, and it comes from your heart, it comes from passion. It's not, the perception is that it's not incredibly stable. It's hard work. It's unknown for so many people, even for those folks who did very well in corporate. Becoming an entrepreneur is a different animal, and people and it triggers a lot of fears and insecurities and concerns because it's an unknown thing for a lot of people. So the things that I hear are things like the economy, or I can't start a business because of the pandemic. And so I press them like, well, tell me why. What about the pandemic is stopping you from focusing on your business? What does one have to do with the other? And it's an inquisition not to it's an inquisition to help a person to challenge their own fears, to challenge their own filters, to challenge their limiting beliefs around what they can actually accomplish. Human beings can accomplish a lot, and working through confidence or allowing your confidence to shine is the thing that's really going to help any business owner. So I hear all the excuses, I don't have enough, how am I going to start a business? What am I going to do when I grow to 20,000 employees? Well, how about let's figure out what you're going to do right now just to kind of get yourself started. I have found that in life that when you stand and you start to walk, that path gets built under your feet. So have the idea, that's great, right? But there's only so far that your mind and that idea is going to take you. You actually have to get in there and take action. You have to start walking down the path. And what you find is as you start walking down the path is built for you. People come, people show up. You come to a place like a Hera Hub where there's a community that's ready, that has programming and resources to support you in growing your business. Like you decided you were going to do this. I don't know whether or not this was something that you had always intended to do, but you made the decision. That's step one. And then you started walking. And I see you all over the place. I see you everywhere. And I know that the resources are showing up to support you and to help you, to accomplish this thing.
Well, and one of my resources is my fabulous campaign manager, Venus Johnson, who's always on these calls and helps you with the technical aspects of it. And also, I really do rely on our young people because they have a fresh perspective. And someone like Venus, who actually is interested in politics, it's like being able to, as you're saying, people come to you and you're like, absolutely, this young woman, oh yeah, I actually went and got her, to be honest. She like, I need you. And she agreed. So I definitely hear about that. And even getting back to the ideas that were presented in this forum, many of the candidates, I felt, this is when I say that politicking and the political answers of, yeah, we're going to drive business here. Well, how can you be such an advocate in such a supportive community and know that we have businesses here and we need to strategize how to support those businesses, whether it's reallocating funds, and also encourage our population to do everything that we've just been saying. This is the time. And Venus, I know you've been putting some resources there, but make sure that for our veterans, I know sba.gov is a good place for them to go if they're exploring that. SCORE is another place. They have mentors, if you can put that up there as well. And then tomorrow, Lisane, we're going to have, I don't know if you know David Zumaya, another guy that's everywhere. But David Zumaya, they have a business expo tomorrow. Oh, excuse me, not tomorrow, but he's coming on tomorrow. It's next week. And again, places like that, if you are currently in a situation where you're unemployed or you're like, I'm not sure if I can make a living with this current job, to be able to be open to exploring the infinite possibilities that are out there. Go to this expo. It's free online, it's virtually, and you might discover a new industry for yourself and being able for our community to really support ingenuity. And speaking of ingenuity, as I mentioned before, this NABO award that Lisane got is a nominee from. We also got Valerie Grant from Hera Hub also is
That's
nominated.
right. Thank you so much, because I wanted to make sure that you, so Valerie Grant, who is the founder of Grant Consulting, uh, uh, Grant Writing, excuse me, is, we're both nominees for the Women's Advocate of the Year Award for NABO. And I'm so much more comfortable promoting other people than I am myself. I just am, and it's a thing. It's my thing. But yeah, so we got nominated in this category, and I feel very honored to have been nominated. And the way it's working is there's a panel event that is
Tomorrow.
pre-recorded, that's going to be released tomorrow at noon Pacific for an hour, and then voting opens from starts at 1 p.m. Pacific tomorrow, right after the panel event is aired, through noon next Friday the 25th. So if it feels good to you, and vote for either Valerie or I. But you have to register. I believe that you have to register in order to have the ability to vote. So you need to first register for the event, and then you have a week of voting that takes place. So
I think with Envision, as you spoke about this, Lisane, sometimes it takes inspiration. And what I find by saying, hey, I'm not doing anything tomorrow around that time, just log on to this, because there's some really, kick butt women that are going to be you're in a sea of some amazing talent there.
Absolutely. All of them, several different categories. There's the Women's Resilience Award. So if you can get onto the NABO site and take a look at all the different categories that are being represented, it's a great way to really, give a thumbs up to female entrepreneurs who are working really, really hard on behalf of all entrepreneurs.
And so I would also like to change gears a little bit here and talk again, Lisane. We're just talking about just a few aspects of this amazing being, shaping freedom. First of all, I had the pleasure of attending one of the Shaping Freedom workshops, and let me tell you, it was life-changing. I got connected to, a few women that I'm still connected to, also Hera Hubbies, as we call them. And I remember there was one guy there, and I kept thinking, God, is he going to be okay? It was wonderful. And so I think it's important to also say this is not just a space for women. This is a space for beings. So this just happened to have more women and one man at that time. And what I appreciate about those spaces, especially Lisane's space in particular, when we are unpacking and exploring the things that have happened in our life, it is really important to have somebody that is at the helm of all of that. I will not say madness, but sometimes with me, and I'm only speaking about myself, when you're exploring challenging areas to move through, it feels a little like so much is coming up that you need to be with a trusted moderator, a trusted facilitator. And if you could, and Venus, if you could also post this, there's a virtual workshop that's coming up for Shaping Freedom. So I'd like to give you the floor to really speak to that aspect of you being able to, people are in good hands with you, and what happens in a virtual workshop.
Thank you. So actually, this is another example of, I had this huge plan at the beginning of the year, like many other people had. And one of my big plans is that I was going to do this Shape Your Foundation tour. And I was going to run a 4-day workshop in San Diego, in Atlanta, in New York. And I had all these big plans. And obviously that didn't quite happen. And so what I needed to do was to pivot on the fly and figure out how I could meet people where they are and provide them an opportunity to process both what's happening internally, how to become more efficient and effective at relationships, at their careers, at whatever their endeavors are, with this now added situation that we're all in, you know, within the world. And so it took me a little bit to kind of figure out the right way to deliver it. And it's a program called Shape Your Foundation. It's a 5-week virtual workshop. We meet once a week, and we have then a follow-up conversation a month later. And the program is a program really focused on improving the relationship that you have with yourself. So we go in and we unpack limiting beliefs, your core beliefs. We unpack what it is that, you know, how you see the world, you know, the relationship that you're having with yourself. We talk about the strategies that you're using to get the results that you have in your life, whether those are results that work for you or not. We take a deep dive into how you are showing up in the world and how you're showing up for yourself. So it's a beautiful deep dive. It is a very safe space. And somehow or another, like the right people just come together and get this little container going, and we get together, we connect, and then we take off. And the results are really life changing, you know, and I say that, you know, as a completely humble woman, you know, the results really are life changing, because there's something about acknowledging that there are things that are not working in your life, or acknowledging that perhaps there's something else you want to accomplish in your life. And this is, you know, I have 23 years of corporate experience, and I left corporate, you know, 13 years ago as an executive in corporate. And all that is great. But what's really wonderful about where I am moved to help and support is in leadership. And the kind of leadership that is the leadership that will help you to have a profound impact and a positive impact on your family legacy, because that's where everything starts. That's where it starts, that's where it gets lived, and that's where it ends, is in your family legacy. And so we all have things, you know, when you think about legacy, it's not just about, you know, financial inheritance or the inheritance of, you know, material, well, not a phone, but, you know, whatever, whatever the things are. It's also about the emotional legacy that we pass from generation to generation. You know, that emotional legacy that speaks to the way that women deal with and support each other or not, or the ways that mothers and daughters, you know, interrelate with each other, or men and women. And so for me, my goal ultimately is to help people to have stronger, more loving, more connected, and more authentically communicating families. Because if we do that, you know, there are so many things that are happening in this world that would be a heck of a lot better.
And I agree that it is life changing. Again, I personally went through it. And I would also add that this isn't, people might get weird out, was this therapy? It's therapeutic is what I would, how I would answer that. And it is to talk about, it's so important, and why I designed the series of conversations I have as I'm running for office. Everything starts with your personal space, your mind, your beliefs, your perspective. And you use the term limiting beliefs. And I'd like to share an example that certainly happened today at the forum. When we talk about unpacking something like the economy and only thinking that we have to drive businesses in and what we can and how can we get more people here, you're limiting your perspective if you do not also entertain some other perspectives. And I think I know one of the reasons why I entered the race is that I'd like to get a seat at the table to offer another perspective. And by me offering this perspective, it's not right, it's not wrong, it's not good, it's not bad, it's just a perspective. And if we continue to do business as usual, if we don't bring in fresh ideas, a vision for Oceanside that can contribute to the milieu of, yes, we have policies and we have plans and we have budgets and we all blah, blah, blah. but I'm an intelligent woman. I can sit at that table and I can hear all of that and still say, hey, what about this? So in your encounters with people and as you've moved through limiting beliefs, can you just speak to a little bit of that, please?
Yes, ma'am. So two quick things, and one thing that, again, I forgot to say. So if you're interested in this program, do you mind if I really quickly? If you're interested in the program, go to shapingfreedom.com and you'll see a link for the virtual program. You know, there's a lot more information there about it. And if you join the Shaping Freedom Facebook group, you'll actually get a discount code that'll give you a 20% discount on the program. And I was an executive in corporate for many years. I did business transformation and organizational change management, and I ran a coaching business on the side. And I'm a certified coach and have been for quite some time, for over 20 years. And I'm also a master practitioner of neurolinguistic programming and a trainer of neurolinguistic programming and an advanced data healer and blah, blah, blah. And I'm bringing all of that up partially to let you know a little bit more about who I am. And secondly, to answer your question. And I'll answer the question by sharing that I was in corporate at one time. And I had a great job and I loved my job. I actually did not have a horrific corporate experience. I really enjoyed it. But I also had something pulling me where I wanted to do something else. There was something inside of me that I really wanted to do. And I came out of a background where I'm the daughter of a Haitian parent. And so, you know, with Haitians, you know, you do something professional, right? You do white collar, that's what you do. And so the idea that I would want to be a coach, let alone, you know, or do any of that kind of stuff was like, what are you talking about? Like, you know, and so I had some concern around that. And there was a bit of a limiting belief that if I were to walk away from corporate, would I be able to feed myself? Would I be able to still have the life to which I had grown accustomed? And I didn't have the language for it at the time, Kelly, but ultimately it really was a limiting belief. And that limiting belief was that I was safer having my future in the hands of this corporate entity than I would be if I were to simply rely upon myself. That is a limiting belief, you know, that I have since many, many times over learned to challenge. So a limiting belief is anything that you think that takes you away from what's really in your true best interest. You know, a limiting belief is something that says, I can't be an entrepreneur. I can't be an entrepreneur because I don't know anyone else who is. Or I can't be an entrepreneur because I've been in corporate and I've always worked for other people and therefore I can't do it. Or I cannot be an entrepreneur or a successful entrepreneur because I don't have blank, 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 whatever those things are. Right? And so part of the work of personal growth is challenging you to take a look at some of your beliefs, to check your beliefs. And so often our beliefs and our programming comes from a lifetime of programming of other people's ideas, other people's limiting beliefs, other people's visions for your life. And there's nothing more empowering, in my opinion, than taking control of that, taking the reins of your own life, getting into the driver's seat, checking your belief system, and ensuring that the beliefs that you hold dear to yourself and the beliefs that are driving you through and that are accompanying you in your life are truly the beliefs that you want to have in order to curate a life that you really want. You know, so a limiting belief is any belief that stops you from having the magnificent life that you need to have, that you are entitled to, that you owe yourself, you know?
Yes, born to create.
Born to create. Entrepreneurial, it's about bravery, it's about courage, and it's about trusting yourself, and it's about confidence and knowing that you may not know all the things, but if you check your own belief system, check yourself, and then have the courage to speak your dream, that you will have people come around you and help you and support you to get what it is that you want to have done.
Well, thank you for that, Lisane. And I just want to make sure, Venus, did we get all of the things that she cited, her website, and people, if they wanted to go to the Facebook page and all of that, Venus?
Yes, we did.
Okay, perfect. So this is actually I think this is a great ending. We have momentum. Get out there and dream big and become an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So design the life in which you want to create. And it's
Absolutely.
it's not that it's not that I'm making it simple. I mean, it is quite complex, but you can do that. So Lisane, I want to thank you for joining us today. I want to thank whoever is on this page. Oh, before I go off, I have to ask Venus, was there anyone that made a comment or anything that has a question for Lisane or me or anything?
No questions, just a lot of great and positive feedback. Someone mentioned that they started their own business at the beginning of the pandemic, so it's a lot of great feedback.
Oh, yay, nice.
Good. Well, I'm glad that I finally got to, it's been on my mind. I said, oh, Venus, I have to ask if anyone's responded, so that's great. A lot of great feedback. Thank you for joining us. Remember, be sure, log on to Shaping Freedom. It will change your life.
Thank you,
all
Kellie.
for the better. All
Thank
for the
you
better.
so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Facebook Live.